when you start to condition your mind, because your voice, like right when you speak things, you also hear it, which is why it's the most powerful way to manifest your life. So if you're always talking about how you don't have, you won't have. But if you're always talking about how you have a lot, you will have a lot, right?
Yeah.
If you're always giving, your hands are always open and you can also receive. Which is why like tithing is a thing, which is why like giving to people, like, which is why some of the richest people in the world have huge charities, because they understand this is not only the law of God, this is the law of the universe. This is how it works. So it's like you cannot hold on and expect to be abundant. So understanding abundance for me, I feel like, has been one of the biggest lessons of life. And following the joy, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, why would you try and figure
Out like an entire industry by yourself? Like, to me, that's like wild, especially if it's your first time doing a business, period. Because I think it depends on who you're with and who you're working with, but I find that like it cuts like the time down, but it also puts like a rocket on your back in a way, because then you start to meet the people that you need to meet, because it's very lonely working for yourself, you know?
That's the thing I tell a lot of people, is that when
you make a decision that you're going to do something, you have to stay with that decision, because the thing is the biggest job of your life will always come when you make a decision to prioritize yourself. It happens every single.
You're gonna stay true to your word.
Yeah, every single time it happens. So yeah, you have to, because if you don't keep up with the relationship with yourself, like nothing's worth it. Nothing's worth it. It really isn't. There's no job that's worth it. Whatever's for you will be there for you when you are rested and when you are able. And you know how it is. Like if you don't rest, your body will make you rest. It will make you rest. So,
welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get authentic answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. Join me every week as me and my special guest reveal the keys to longevity and success in the beauty industry, from the ups and downs of their journey to the nitty-gritty of their struggles and triumphs. We're spilling the tea on it all, and most importantly, having fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty, Aquia Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. Now, on today's episode, I have the pleasure of having Delina Medhin in the Friends in Beauty guest chair, y'all. I'm so excited. So Delina is a makeup artist and powerful thought leader at the intersection of beauty and business. She has built her business over the past 15 years, working steadily to increase her influence as a celebrity makeup artist, on-camera beauty expert, and producer. She has been featured on The Today Show, worked on New York Fashion Week, published in InStyle, Vogue, The Cut, Allure, Elle, Essence. She's lit, obviously, with a client list that includes Kamala Harris, Debbie Allen, Audrey Woodard, Issa Rae, Ilana Glazer, Phoebe Robinson, and so much more. Her prowess as a business boss is equally matched by her philanthropic initiatives, including It Takes a Village, a podcast on conversations about being an entrepreneur, focused on people who have helped her and her guests in building their businesses. Y'all, this has been a long time coming. I'm like super duper pumped to have Delina here. Welcome to the Friends of Beauty podcast, Delina.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I don't know if I've ever been like this hyped. Like,
stop, cut it out.
I'm so serious because like I've been back and forth like from DC to New York for like a decade at some point, probably not a whole decade. But like when I first started doing makeup, I was going to New York a lot to like events because it wasn't really anything going on in DC. And I will always see you around, but I haven't had the pleasure of like actually meeting you. So I'm so excited to meet you.
I'm so excited to meet you too. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So before we hop into it, we're just going to start with some icebreakers to get us warmed up. And I always say so the Friends in Beauty audience can get to know you a little bit outside of what you do professionally. So the first one is give us 3 random facts about you.
Okay. I grew up in North Carolina.
Okay.
Let me think. I knew you were going to ask me this one because I've listened to your episodes, but I'm like, okay, why am I blanking?
Yeah,
okay, so
because when you had to talk about yourself, you're like,
right, exactly. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, I grew up in North Carolina. Okay, I haven't said this in a while, but I love Harry Potter. Like I read all of the books twice,
Uh-huh.
and I'm a huge like super fan of Harry Potter.
Okay.
And I'm new to LA. I just moved to LA. So it's like a new
That's
adventure for me. So I'm excited about that. And it's like it's a new chapter, which is so
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
definitely a new chapter. We're going to talk
Hmm.
all about that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do people always tell you that you're good at aside from what you do professionally?
Ooh, that's a good question. What do people think I'm good at? Um, Probably connecting people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really good at connecting people. I can meet people and see based off of what they're talking about and what they're saying if they would be a good fit for someone else. I'm always thinking about
Mm,
how someone can take their skills and help someone else with it. So I'm always trying to make
yeah,
those connections.
I
So yeah,
love
maybe
that.
that.
So the next one is when is the last time that you did something for the first time,
When's the last time I did something for the first time? Mm.
other than moving to LA, of
I
course?
know that's
What I was gonna say, but I was like, I already used that one. When is the last time I did something for the first time? I'm going on a lot of hikes and they're different places that I've never been before. So I won't say it's the first time I'm hiking, but I used to. So when I lived in New York, I would go upstate New York and I would go hiking by myself. I know it's like wild, but I really enjoy the quiet and I
I
enjoy
like
being by
hiking.
myself.
Hmm.
Love it. Love it. And the hikes here are different because a lot of them are not shaded. So in New York, when you go and you hike, you're in the woods and you get the
Right.
quiet. And so you might pass somebody, but after they get a certain distance away, you can't really hear them. Whereas
Right.
here, it's like you can kind of see the whole trail. You can't really get lost. So it's a little bit different. So I would say like that's new for me. Like that type of
Yeah.
hiking is new for me. So first time.
Yeah, I'm not used to that. I like to hike too, and I like to be outside. So it is always covered by trees and
I
it's not
love
wide
that.
open. Yeah. You just get
Yeah,
a
I
good
love
shade.
yeah, girls who hike. We
Yes.
need it. We need a group.
That'd be fun. That'd be
Right?
so much fun. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you have a current mini win? So I always say mini wins are like milestones leading up to like a bigger goal. Do you have any mini wins from this year that you're like proud of so far?
Mm. I prioritize myself in a way that I have not done in the past. I took some time off, and I didn't
Nice.
just take a little bit of time off. I took like 2.5, 3 months off, and it was new and it was scary, but it was necessary. I think I was one of those people in 2020 that was like, go, 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 go. So when crisis happens, obviously we all know COVID happened in 2020, but when crisis happens, I tend to actually perform better, which is interesting. But
Really?
yeah, like a lot of people I did really well when I was doing Fashion Week because there would be chaos around and I would just be like zoned
I'm like the
in.
opposite.
Yeah, most people are. And so for me, like during this time of COVID, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like focus, I'm gonna do everything. But the thing is you can't escape actually processing something. It just is a delayed process, right? So when
Yeah.
everybody was kind of like, what's going on? I was focused. And then when everybody had gotten back to normal around like 2022, I was like, oh my
Mm,
God, there is a pandemic. You know what I mean? There is a
right.
pandemic. Life is not the same. Like what is going on? So I think I just needed time to process. It helped me reevaluate life and how, how important that is and
Yeah.
how fragile it is. We can't just work our whole lives and not live. And I was so like, I'm grinding, I'm this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I reprioritized everything. And so this year really represents balance to me. Like, what does that look like? And how can I put myself first, which is huge.
Yeah. Are we getting older? Is that just what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
Because I felt
But
like I
but
was
you
the
know
same
what?
way. It was just like work, 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 work. And now I'm just like, well, how can I work less and just get back
Yeah.
to the things that I want to do and fulfill my soul instead of, doing all this extra stuff.
I think we grew up faster. I think you have a really good point because the pandemic slowed everything down.
Hmm.
It made us face our mortality, our friends, our family, our everything, and like that's even why I ended up starting the podcast in the pandemic, which I believe you did too, right?
Yep. This is my
Yep.
pandemic baby.
This is your
Hmm.
pandemic baby.
Yep.
And it's 4 now, right?
Yep. 4 years old.
Which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And yeah, during that time, I just started to think about all the people that really matter to me and like and thinking about keeping a memory of that. That was the intention really from the very
Yeah.
beginning. So yeah, absolutely. I think we're getting older, but I think we just started to think about like life is precious. You can't hike the same way at like in your 30s as you can in your like 70s. So it's like
Right.
why are you waiting to go climb the mountain? You know, like go climb it now.
Right. Go climb it now. Stop waiting.
Climb it now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, what's up? I know you're enjoying the episode, but I have to put you on to Friends in Beauty's newest community, the Trailblazers Club. The Trailblazers Club is a place where success not only leaves clues, but becomes a tangible reality for beauty pros just like you. See, a lot of my friends in beauty are so talented and so skilled at what they do, but they lack the essential business skills that are needed to grow and sustain their businesses, or they lack the support that is needed to stay consistent to execute their goals. And that's exactly why I wanted to create the Trailblazers Club to be able to support you on your journey. Exclusively inside of the Trailblazers Club, you will unlock expert led masterclasses and breakout sessions every single month, monthly Q&A and mentorship with me, your best friend in beauty, an exclusive and extensive network of beauty pros, support and accountability, access, unlimited access at that to the archive masterclasses, discounts on select Friends in Beauty events and classes, and so much more. And get this, y'all, it's only $25 a month. You heard that right. It's only $25 a month. But you know how Fat Joe said yesterday's price won't be today's price, or, that saying, that's exactly how it's going to be. So you might want to get in while you can. I'll go ahead and leave the link down below, and your fellow trailblazers are inside waiting for you, and we hope to see you soon. Let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
For
So
sure.
the last one for the icebreakers, if you weren't a makeup artist, podcaster, all the amazing things that you do, is there anything else you could see yourself doing?
Yeah, I always said that I wanted to be a backup dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how they like, you remember like back in the day though, like the music videos and stuff like that. Like and like they would be there and they would be like, I mean, music videos don't get as much
Yeah.
attention as they do, as they did then. Now I feel like dancers are more known for, traveling and doing like, you work for like Beyonce or Lady Gaga and like,
Right. You're
you know,
known.
you're known, but like I mean, I don't know. Dancing is cool. And it frees your body. It feels amazing. Like, yeah, absolutely.
That would be
Absolutely.
fun. I mean, and like
Yeah.
the dancers are, like you said, it's just a different world we're living in now, because
Yeah.
even the dancers and influencers, I follow a couple of them on Instagram myself. There was even this one girl who I just kept on seeing, and I actually went on a hunt to find out who she was. She was like in Beyonce's is it Black is King? And I saw her in like an
You talking
Ari
about
Lennox.
Amari?
No, her name is Taylor. I think like Taylor
Okay.
Terry.
Okay. I thought you
And
were talking
she's
about
like Ari
Amari. Yeah.
Lennox. Now she's in like Chris Brown stuff. And I was like, who is this girl? Like I went on a hunt for her because she's like so fire. So yes, the dancers.
So fire.
Yeah.
It's just cool, isn't
I
it?
do
The way they
follow
move
Amari
their
too.
body. Like, yeah, you follow Amari too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amari's vibes. Like,
Yes,
for
yes.
sure.
I
Yeah.
love it. So how are you feeling today? Like how are you feeling mentally, physically, emotionally? You just moved. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel really good. I mean, like sun is something that really matters to me. I didn't realize how important it was to be around the sun to like feel it. Also, the
Yeah.
consistency in weather I think has helped in mood. But in addition to that, I just have started meditating a lot. So
Yeah.
like my overall happiness is just super. It's like I'm happy, but I'm not like up and down. I'm like happy, like even happy, you
I
know?
love that.
Yeah, like everything works for the good. Like I feel good. I feel
That's
great. Thank you
good.
for asking.
You're welcome. I love meditation. I've been meditating for maybe like 5 years consistently. And I've really noticed a change in myself and how I react to things. Like I used to be so like such a control freak when it came to certain things. It had to go the way I planned it, or else I was
Yeah.
going to have a meltdown.
So
But
tell me, how did
meditation
you
has helped
find
me.
it? How did you find
Um,
meditation?
I think probably like my best friend, we got into it around the same time, but they have a meditation museum here in Maryland. Yeah, in Maryland and Virginia. And I always used to pass it sometimes. And I'm like, meditation museum, like, what is that about? And I think I just went in there, or maybe I researched it one day and they were doing meditation classes. So that was like my first intro. Well, not really my first intro. That's a lie. My mom meditates and she took me to something when I was like 11, but that was like, a long time. But did my own thing some years ago. And they taught us how to meditate. And I just kind of been doing it on my own since then. I don't know what's up with this camera. We're gonna make it happen though. We're not gonna worry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. Wait, so your mom meditates. How long has she been
Mhm.
meditating? It's very curious for me. That's amazing.
I have no idea. I just know that when I was
Just
11, she took me with her to this workshop. And
wow.
that method at the time is like the silver method of meditation. So I remember like in there, I fell asleep. I totally remember like falling asleep in there because I was just like so relaxed at like 11 in this meditation workshop with her. And I never really thought anything else of it until I gotten older. And I guess been searching for things to just calm my spirit a little bit because I feel like it's like just a hustle all the time with just trying to be great. Like it's just a lot. So
It is a lot. It is a lot. Wait, Silva. I'm gonna write that down. I haven't heard of that method
yeah, the
before.
silver method. I haven't even looked at it since then, but I do remember that's what it was that we
What do
learned.
you practice now? Like, do you have a specific type of practice? Like, what does it look like?
Not necessarily. Sometimes I'll do like guided meditations with affirmations and stuff like that. Or sometimes I'll just put on meditation music and just try to focus on my breath and maybe do some visualization and stuff like that at the same time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I do a lot of gratitude or like money manifestation, like give me the money manifestation affirmations or just the music so I can kind of focus on what's going on for myself.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
What about you?
Yeah, similar to you. So I either do like complete silence and so I learned transcendental meditation. And then, so that kind of started me on my journey where I was like, okay, this is something that I want to do because I started to actually feel like a physical change. I felt more calm. You can feel a difference when your body isn't producing as much cortisol. Like you can tell like when you're not as like tense or
Yeah.
you don't feel as intense with it. So
Mhm.
I learned transcendental meditation, which is essentially like you get a mantra and it's a specific mantra to you that is given to you. And then the idea is that you practice in the morning and you practice at night. It's 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. Not at night before you go to bed, but like around like 6, you know what I mean? Like 4 or
Yeah.
5 p.m., like before you actually like a few hours before you go to bed.
Mhm.
So I started with that. And then recently, when I've come back, I'm kind of doing like a mixture of things. I took a bit of a break, and now I do somewhat of what you're talking about, where I listen to different frequency music, and
Yeah.
I have that on in the background, and it's like no words, but it's just silence, and it's kind of like kind of sounds like sound bowls,
Yeah. Yeah. I love
and
that.
and then I'll sit and like quietly just like close my eyes and I'll sit with myself for about like 25 minutes. I normally just do in the morning, but if I like yesterday, I felt a little bit more like kind of like woo. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to meditate at night too. So I did as well. But normally, yeah, I start my day in the morning with it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I absolutely love
Mhm.
it. It's definitely part of my morning routine. I have to do it, or I feel like my day doesn't really go right.
Same, same. I
Yeah,
agree with you. Yeah.
yeah. I had Crystal Wright on the show not too long ago, and she was
I
raving about you.
heard. I heard that episode. Listen, Crystal has also been on my podcast and
Yeah,
Crystal Wright is like my like mom. You know what I mean? She is so she's like tough love and at the same time like cuz she gives it to you completely straight. Like she'll
yeah,
call me and be like, "Listen, you need to do this instead of this. I saw this. You shouldn't." She even to this day, right? And she'll be like, "You need to do this instead of that. Like, I don't know what you're doing over there." Like,
yeah.
but the other thing about Crystal is just she's just like, man, I wouldn't be where I am without her. She
Hmm.
opened up her entire like everybody she knew. She was like, okay, I want you to meet Delina. Like, I want you to do this. She told me to do stuff, and I just blindly listened to her. I really submitted to her teaching and what she knows.
Yeah,
And she owned an agency, you know? So for me, I have always been somebody who was like a business person and like really focused on the business side of the artistry, which I know is important to your listeners and to you.
yeah,
So yeah, so when I met her, she was like, I can teach you how to be your own agent. And I was like, I whatever you say I'm doing. And
yeah.
yeah, she's huge, huge, huge. Like she is like my mentor, like my like number one person in terms of like where I am right now is 100% because of her. So I'm so
That is
happy that you met
amazing.
her. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Teach you how to be your own agent.
Yep. That's literally what what she
Taught
taught
me
me.
how to do. And like now it's like it helped me in the sense of like I was just talking to somebody else about how you know how Rihanna had that song where it was like, "Be You Better Have My Money."
Hmm.
And it was because somebody had taken advantage of her and she didn't know what was happening until it was too late and it was a whole thing. Obviously, she's a billionaire now, so she's fine.
Right, right.
But it's that you need to understand how to advocate for yourself because if you don't learn how to do that, it you know, it's like you're not really running a business, your talent
Yeah,
and it doesn't work. Like I find it doesn't work. Like I meet people all the time, like some people that are represented by agents that call me and ask me like what should I do because they're just like I don't know what to do and I'm like okay we have to talk about this, are you asking them to do that? So
yeah.
yeah, she helped me so much
That is so great. Had you had a coach before, Crystal, or was she like one of your first coaches?
She was my first coach in the
in
in
the makeup industry. Yeah, like I've always valued learning. I've always
Yeah.
valued learning and I've always valued experts in my life. uh but yeah, she was my first makeup coach. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
definitely recommend people getting some kind of coaching. If you see somebody out
yeah.
there that can kind of fast track your road to success instead of the trial and error. So the trial and error is so real in this industry. Like if you don't
So
just
real.
get a coach if you can save up and all of those things, like definitely get a coach.
It's worth it. I feel like it's like, why would you try and figure
Figure out like an entire industry by yourself. Like to me, that's like wild, especially if it's your first time doing a business, period.
Yeah,
Because I think it depends on who you're with and who you're working with, but I find that like it cuts like the time down, but it also puts like a rocket on your back in a way because
yeah,
then you start to meet the people that you need to meet because it's very lonely working for yourself, you
yeah. It
know?
is.
Incredibly lonely. Like you're just by yourself all the time. So it gives you the opportunity to connect with like-minded people, which is just fantastic. If you have a coach who's connected. And I
Right.
think if you're going to hire a coach, make sure they have like they're connected. Don't hire
She
somebody
is
who's not connected.
connected.
Yeah, she's
Everybody loves
connected.
Crystal. She's helped so many people, so she's
so
super connected.
many.
Yeah, so many. What do you think like your the biggest learning curve, if you can think of one? Do you have like a learning curve that you had to or a hump that you had to get over on your own before you got into coaching or before you had coaching? Like just the things that you had to figure out. Hey, friend, I really need your help with something. I'm planning to host my very first travel retreat in 2024, and this is why. I live in DC, but I love to travel. My last few trips, I've gone to Mexico, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, but I'm starting to get that urge to hop on a plane again very soon. And I've been thinking about what I want for myself and what I want for friends in beauty in 2024, and that is to make a bigger impact and build deeper connections while doing the things that we love. Like, what better way to do that than on a bomb trip, making new memories together, learning from one another, experiencing new cultures, and laying out in the sun? What I really want is for us to get into the habit of resting, recalibrating, and celebrating ourselves more. We work so hard on a day to day basis, and I want this experience to be an all play, no work type of vibe. You feel me? I'm ready to have some fun and I want you to come along with me. Instead of catching all the highlights on my Instagram and YouTube, all you have to do is fill out a brief 2-minute survey to let me know where we should go, what your budget is, and the best time of year and what you want to do. I'll leave the link here and below in the show notes. I am super duper excited to collaborate with you on this. Let's make this retreat happen and get your passports ready because we getting up out of here.
To get to a place where I
Was
was
trusting myself because you have to learn from somebody else, right?
Hmm.
But you're saying before I got a coach, or you're
Yeah,
saying
before
like,
you got a
okay,
coach. Yeah.
before I got a coach. Okay, because I was like that, because there's a whole, you know what I mean? I was thinking about it from this perspective of like trusting yourself after you have a coach. Okay, before I had a coach, I would say, man, what did I know? I didn't know anything, like I was so new. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to make money. I didn't know what to charge. I
Uh-huh.
didn't know like how to follow up. I didn't know what a deal memo was. I didn't know you're supposed to send contracts. Like I was hesitant, you know, like in
Yeah.
everything. I didn't know anything. And honestly, she has this book, The Hair, Makeup, and Styling Career Guide, which is
Mm,
excellent. But when
yeah.
you work with her one on one, which I actually didn't do, like some people go and they do like
Like the group or the
the
cohort.
course. Okay, so you have to know what kind of person you are. I am a one-on-one girl, period. Like I don't care how much you're charging, one-on-one, like how much is it per hour? Because I just need to
Yeah.
talk to you, and that's how I'm going to learn. I have spent like thousands of dollars on these group courses, and I never take them, or I take them and I don't retain. Like, I need the connection with the person who made the course. Like that's who I am. So we did one on one. And so the way she did it, I don't know how she does it now, but she did like you buy like 3 or 4 classes at a time. And so I did that. And then, and then I started working with her. But yeah, we started from scratch. She was like, make a
Mhm.
list of the 10 agencies. And I was like, what are agencies? I was like, I didn't know anything. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, you got to go look. There's like makeup agencies that represent people. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. So, I learned a lot. Like that's why I'm like, I really credit her because I really didn't know. I really didn't know much before I started.
Have
Yeah.
you ever wanted to have an agent or go about it that route instead of advocating for yourself?
Yeah. I did. I've had a few agents in my life and I feel it was good. It was a good experience. I find, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. Sorry, I normally have my phone off.
Oh, I can't even hear it. It must be
You couldn't?
in your
Oh my God,
headphones.
I'm so embarrassed. Hold on one second. Sure. You can tee up the question one more time and I will. Let me make sure this is all focus. Do not disturb.
Okay. One more time. Sorry.
I
Question.
don't even know what was my question.
I think you were asking me about.
Oh, agencies. You're asking me about an
Oh
agent. Have I ever had an
yes,
agent?
yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to have an agent as opposed to advocating for yourself?
Okay. Yes, I have. The thing about it is, okay, so I've had agents. I have liked my agents. It's
What's really interesting is that I know so much and I want to be involved in the business side with my agent. And so sometimes, depending on who you're with, this can create a little bit of friction because
Uh-huh.
they're like, let me be the agent and you be the talent. And for me, I'm like, I have to know what's going on. And
Right.
and something I have learned is
Are you a
that
Virgo?
I am I giving
Why do
classic
I
Virgo, right?
why do I keep pointing out the Virgos? This is the second time I've done this within like the last 2 weeks. This other girl, one of my clients was describing one of her friends. I was like, is she a Virgo? And she was like, I don't know. Let me go look. And then she was a Virgo. My mom is a
yeah,
Virgo. So I'm able to just
you get it.
yeah.
You get it. Yeah. So we're particular. We've been told we're particular. So yeah.
Yes, I feel like this is what I've learned. So each time that I've learned more actually after I've left my agents than when I was with them. So when I leave them, I go and I have conversations, individual conversations with my clients because everything is about client relationship. And I thought when I got an agent that they would massage that relationship for me. It doesn't work like that. I thought that, but that's not how it
Yeah.
works. It's important for you to still have the dinners and for you to still have the phone calls and for you to still connect with them deeply because that's your relationship at the end of the
Right.
day, right? And when you leave, if you're working directly with an agent, sometimes they can be like, no, it's my relationship, which
Hmm.
isn't true, right? It's a
Right.
shared relationship. It's a
Right.
relationship that we both have with this person. So, yes, I need somebody who is an agent who is a salesperson though, like who wants to be like on commit calls with me every week because that's what I'm doing. I'm like, let's talk about what's in the pipeline. Let's talk about
Yeah.
what you need me to do. Let's talk about strategy. And so
Yeah.
if I can have that, then yes. And I think I might be in the place now where I'm looking again.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I just went to Black Beauty Rosters summit. They had a summit on
I saw
Friday.
that. I saw
It
that. How
was
was it?
it was amazing. Like she really outdid herself. Like she
Maud
always
is
does.
incredible.
She really is. It was so good, but
Yeah.
they had a conversation about agents and things like that. And someone was asking, well, how do you know if your agent is actually working? Like how do you know if they're actually doing things on your behalf? How do you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm. And what they say.
Yeah, they were like, well, you will know if you start getting work or not. Like if you're not getting any jobs, then you know if your agent is doing things or not. And then it also said it's important for your agent to like you and vice versa, for you all to like each other as a person, because if they like you as a person, then and they know you as a person, like they know Delina likes meditation, she likes hiking, all these things, and they could pitch you from a more personal level if they
I
actually
love
know
that.
you and like you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's another thing too. Like we're kind of taught like don't be friends with everybody, but you do
Yeah.
need to be friendly, I think, with people so that way they understand and know you because
Mhm.
it's important. Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very
Yeah,
good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I want to talk about you breaking up, quote unquote, breaking up with New York and moving
I
and
know.
moving to LA. Like
I
what
know.
happened?
I know. I wrote like
Literally like a breakup story on Instagram. I was like, okay. And what's funny is I had been in LA for a couple months before I wrote that, but I didn't know how to say it because I was like, I was somebody where nobody suspected that I would ever leave.
You was
I
a
was
diehard
very
like New York.
yeah. What do you mean? I was like, if you don't want to even live in New York, like,
Who
you know
are
what I mean?
you?
Like, yeah, like even relationships, like I couldn't date somebody that didn't want to live in New York. Like, I was just like, I am New York, like, period, end of story, Like, I was like, this is my home, this is where I'm at, the
Yeah,
energy, I'm excited by it. So, yeah, it was kind of it was slow, but it was fast. Like I started to kind of get this idea in like around 2022 when I was telling you I just started to like feel a little bit more of that energy of being like, okay, like I need to slow down. I think
yeah,
when I just kind of looked up, I was like, okay, is this like really where I want to be? So to go back to me first coming to New York, when I first got there, I was like, okay, I want to be in fashion. I want to do like fashion makeup. Like this is why I'm moving to New York.
mhm,
And while my career had shifted, my mindset had not shifted on like where I lived. So I didn't necessarily need to be in New York anymore. I never reevaluated that
yeah.
because I was in New York. I got to assist Pat McGrath. Like Raisa Flowers and I started around the same time on Pat McGrath's team. So
That's
like we
great.
were doing, you know what I mean? Like I was on that trajectory. Like this is what I'm gonna do. This is what it's gonna be. Shout out to Raisa. She's incredible.
Yeah, I'm a fan of her
Right?
part too.
Amazing. And yeah, and it was kind of like I just looked up and I was like, okay, am I living the life that I really want to live? And I went to Arizona for a few months in 2022. And I
Uh-huh.
think that like switch flipped a little bit where I was like, okay, I really like sun. I started to realize like you wake up every day that the weather's the same. I went to Arizona actually to rest. Like I was like feeling overwhelmed in New York. I was like, I went there to rest. I had so much energy. I was in the gym every day. I was like editing. I had a series called Exploring Harlem that I was working on. I was editing that every day. I was working on social media. I was figuring out TikTok. Like I just got this boost of energy that was just wild. And I was like,
Incredible.
wait.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'd never been somebody who really felt like a location could determine your energy. I was like,
Right.
I feel like that's an excuse. You know what I mean? I'd be like, that's not
And
true.
if it,
Like you can
especially
be
if it's
you.
against New York, if it's not in favor of New York.
Hello. You know what I mean? Like New York or nothing.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I started to notice that I was just home more. I wasn't out anymore. I wasn't taking advantage of like New York and what it is.
Yeah.
And New York is a city, like, in my opinion, that is designed for an extrovert. Like, if you're an extrovert, if you love to be outside, if you love to meet people, if you love to be at dinners like 4 nights a week, like, you need to go live in New York. Like, what are you doing where you are?
Wow.
But if but for me, what I started to realize is that I don't necessarily think I'm an introvert. Okay, I'm going to challenge that right now because people have been like, Lena, you're not an introvert. And I'm like, I think I am. And they're like, I don't think you
You
are.
could, you could, you could, you could be
I think a
introvert,
little
extrovert.
both. Yeah, a little both, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that I'm
Highly
highly
sensitive. And so like I feel like I can feel everybody's energy and everyone that's around me. And I just started to really connect with like trees and walking and just being in silence and like meditation, like all these things that are like the opposite energy of New York.
Yep.
And yeah, I have an acupuncturist actually that I used to go to in the city. And one of the things they do when you go and see them is they check your tongue and like they look at your tongue and they can tell like the health of what your body is doing. And
Uh-huh.
like he commented on my post that I was like, I'm leaving New York. And he was like, I've been looking at your tongue for years, so I'm very happy for you. like, oh my
Excuse
God.
me.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, Gabriel, like it's so funny. But I mean, it wasn't like he was saying anything that he hadn't said publicly. Like I'd
Yeah.
recorded him before and he's been like, okay, we're gonna do points for anxiety. Because Delina always needs that, you know? So needless to say, I didn't realize it was happening, but I came to LA and I just feel like it fits where I am in my life now, just like New York fit where I was in my life then, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's great. I know a lot of people. I mean, that's a big jump. Just moving
It's
in
a
general, even
big
if you were moving up
jump.
the street, moving is exhausting alone, but you moved from a
I
whole different
know.
coast. And I totally get it. I've been in DC all of my life. I haven't lived anywhere else. And I did think about moving to New York at one point, but then I got into education and I was like, well, I don't necessarily need to live anywhere in particular to educate and do classes and stuff like that. So I think I'll just, stay here. But the weather is like we get, of course, all 4 seasons, and I'm like, it's mainly the winter that I'm concerned about. I'm just like, I go through the whole seasonal depression thing, even though I know it's coming. So I try to like do things to like manage it and stuff. But I totally get it with the weather. I need the sun. I need to
Hello.
be in silence sometimes as well. So sometimes I'll just go somewhere and just to be by the water and be by myself and just hear my own thoughts. But when you said earlier
That's
that
beautiful.
you took 2 months off. What did that look like? Did you just weren't doing makeup, or like what were you doing in that 2 months?
Yeah, man, I was traveling actually. I was
Traveling like very privately. I was traveling. So I'm quite like what's really interesting about me is I like to share, but I like to also have moments to myself as well. And I
Yeah.
think that's really important when you're especially when you create content because that's primarily what I do now is to have a moment where you really like sit with yourself and you're like, okay, so I did a little bit of traveling. I was figuring out the move too. Like I had to move here so I knew that I was going to need some like transition time as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, it was just a separation. The energy is different in New York than it is in LA. So I needed to just recalibrate. And
Yeah.
I was really burnt out. Like I was super burnt out. So I just needed to not like do anything. Like I took a break off of social media, but essentially I also took a break off of working. Like I did not work at all,
No
which
clients.
no clients, no nothing. Like I just did not do any work. And it was one of the most healing experiences of my life. Like I highly recommend that if anyone is listening is interested in doing it, that they prioritize. Yeah, listen, we'll talk about it because I
I'm
feel
raising
like
my hand like me.
yeah, you're like me.
Shoot.
Yeah, it makes a difference because you know what? It's like I came back and I appreciate everything. Like I have so much gratitude for like everyone was like checking on me. I got so many messages from different people being like, "Hey, just wanted to see if you're okay, if everything's all right." And it was like you don't realize because I wasn't the kind of person who's going to be like, "Hey guys, I'm going to be taking a break." Like I always feel like that's like an
Announcing it.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like
Just
like I
go.
don't
Just go.
yeah, just go. It's okay. Like it's fine. But I also just didn't realize how much I would miss everybody, like how much I would miss my community, how much I would miss like connecting with people. There's
Yeah.
so much that I don't know, I just feel you feel the blessings more, right? Because it's like you take a second and quiet and in silence you can really sit with your gratitude for your life.
Yeah.
Like the gratitude of being able to not work for 2 months and it be okay, right? Like that's
Right.
abundance.
That
So
that is that is an abundant life right there. I'm like, were you saving
yeah.
up money? Because I feel like I would be right
Yeah.
back to the client called me. I think I need some money. Let me just go ahead and take this one client. This one.
Yeah, that's the thing I tell a lot of people is that
When you make a decision that you're going to do something, you have to stay with that decision because the thing is the biggest job of your life will always come
Mm.
when you make a decision to prioritize yourself. It happens
It's a
every
test to see if you're
single
gonna stay true to your word.
yeah, every single time it happens. So yeah, you have to because if you don't if you don't keep up with the relationship with yourself, like nothing's worth it.
Yeah.
Nothing's worth it. It really isn't. There's
Mm.
no job that's worth it. Whatever's for you will be there for you when you are rested and when you are able. And you know how it is. Like if you don't rest, your body will
It
make
would
you
make you
rest.
rest.
It will make you
Yeah.
rest. So yeah,
Yeah. For
absolutely.
sure. What
Mm.
did burnout look like for you? Because I'm trying to somebody asked me if I was experiencing burnout, and I'm like, I really don't know. Maybe I
Mm.
am, but I'm like, what does that actually look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think this is like it's definitely a hot button word right now. I think a lot of
Hmm.
people are talking about burnout. I would say it feels like loss of concentration. Like maybe if you have a day, like you when you work normally, like you can work like nobody really actually works 8 hours. Everybody says, oh yeah, I worked 8, 12 hours. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But like in between, you ate lunch, you did
Went
this,
to
you
the
did.
bathroom,
Yeah.
yeah, all that, yeah.
But your concentration period, like maybe you have a straight concentrate. You can do like you can concentrate for about like 2 hours straight, or maybe 3 hours straight, or 4 hours straight, whatever it is. Like you have this
Uh-huh.
this time period that you know that you can get to, and it feels like a limit that you can't really touch anymore. It feels like it's almost a little out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to figure out like what is it about it? And it might be, maybe you take a day off, maybe you take a trip somewhere, you come back, you're not even excited about what you do. You're losing a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of that excitement and that lust for
Yeah.
like that, that desire, that passion.
Yeah.
You may find yourself not wanting to connect. Like for me, I mean, I was Uber Eatsing.
It's a
is
new
that a
word
word?
now.
Yeah, is that a word? But I was doing that like twice a day in New York. Like that's wild. Like out of
Mm-hmm.
pocket. Like I was doing these things where it was like, or like I wouldn't leave the house at the height of it. I wouldn't leave the house for like 3 days straight. In New York, that's insane. Like it's crazy to not leave the house for 3 days. Like,
Yeah.
but I would do it. And
Yeah.
I was on the backside of a building. It was cloudy, and like so you can't see anything. It's just little things. I would say burnout. Depression is obviously a clinical term, but I would
Yeah.
say it's probably the beginnings of, or maybe even there's correlation in that way. But
Yeah.
mostly I would say when you see that you're losing concentration and you're wondering why it is that you can't get it, and it's something that you've had, not like, you've been clinically diagnosed with issues with focusing, then
Yeah.
I think it's worth exploring, like, okay, maybe I should take a break.
Got you. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've never taken a break, Delina.
Mm.
Gosh.
Yeah, never.
Like little never, never.
Okay, wait.
Here comes my
That's
child.
wild.
My child
D-
is coming.
Oh,
Come on.
hi. Hi, baby. How are you? What
Yeah,
is
but I've
she? Is that
never
is that a is that a is that a girl, a boy,
a
or
girl cat. Her name is Cash with a K.
Cash? She's so cute.
Oh, yeah.
She's so cute. Wait, so tell me about this. So you've never taken a break ever?
Ever. I don't know
Okay,
what
like how many years have you been working?
11.
That's a long time.
Yeah. I
Do
know.
any of these things resonate with you? Like, do you feel this way, or how are
I
you
know
feeling?
recently I've just been feeling like really unmotivated. Like
Mm,
just trying to focus on, okay, what do I want to do or what do I need to do to get to the level that I want to get at? And it's just been like a lot of just sitting,
yeah,
no
yeah,
action. But going to the BBR event did something to me. It got me excited again. But it's
good.
just been a lot of that lately. Like I only have energy I was just telling somebody this, I think last week, for the things that I want to do, like this. But
Okay,
this is not
yeah,
necessarily like paying the bills, but it makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I only
yeah,
have energy. Like this gets me going, like being able to do the interviews and stuff like that. But the other
yeah.
things that I know that I probably need to do or should be doing, it's like, like why?
I no, I totally understand that. I feel like it sounds like you're in a good position. I would also say continue to follow your joy because the money comes with the joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the thing where it's like you're looking for sometimes people are like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? It's like just be happy. Like whatever brings you happiness, like this is obviously that, right? So
Be
this is
happy.
that you're in the pocket, you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
good. Yeah, and I wouldn't wish burnout on you, so don't search for it.
Yeah, I'm not searching for it, but I'm
Good,
like
good,
the
good.
fact that
Don't.
I've
Yeah, don't.
literally never
It's
taken
good you
a
have
break. I'm
energy,
like 2 months sounds fire right now. Like I would
right?
love to just disappear for 2 months and have people looking for me. Like, because one thing that I'm known for, a lot of people tell me is that I'm consistent. So
Mm,
I think in the back of my head, maybe subconsciously, is like I don't want to break my track record in a sense, or I know people are going to
ah.
be looking for my consistency. Like I release episodes every Wednesday. So if I
Mhm.
don't release it on a Wednesday, people gonna be like, "What's up? Like she not consistent anymore? Like what's she doing?"
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, people understand that you're a human being. That's number one. So if you need to take a break, you can definitely do that. Number two, if you wanted to, you could pre-record in advance.
mm-hmm.
And you could have someone else monitor it and release
Yeah.
your episodes for you. So it's possible.
Got
Don't worry. Whatever you want to happen, if you're like, listen, okay, maybe I can't do 2 months, but maybe I could do a month. You know what I mean? You batch record your episodes and then boom, you can get out for a month and do your thing.
You're inspiring me. I'm definitely going to search for
Yeah.
that break to do that for sure. And you also mentioned your social media.
Mm,
Your social media presence is amazing. Do you
thank
have a
you.
strategy behind that? Like, are you still doing makeup, or are you more so like influencer? Like, what's the tea?
Yeah, so I was working with a lot of personal clients when I first started my social media, and I remember being like, well, okay. The first social I ever did was on YouTube, which was a long, long time ago, like ages ago. And
Uh-huh.
then when I first started, it seemed like it would be, you would think like the worlds are so intertwined now, like social media, makeup artists, like together, together, together. But
Yeah.
then it was like you are either a social media girl or you are an influencer. And like the two worlds were completely separate. Like I'm talking about even as recent as like right before COVID. I
Yeah.
think COVID helped push that together so much easier for people. So it wasn't like looked down upon. It was more like, where is your social media? If you're a makeup
Yeah.
artist, like you need to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit different now. But when I started, um social media, there was no connection at all between the two of them. So I felt like I needed to let go of social media and firmly plant myself in the world of makeup. Like I wanted to learn from the best of the best, and you couldn't do that if you were on social media properly. So I kind of put a pin in it and just like put it over there somewhere. I was like, okay, I'll get back to that, maybe, maybe never, I don't know. Like I want a career, you know?
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and I would post my work occasionally here and there, and then like occasionally I would hop on and say things, but I wouldn't be on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then when like probably a couple years before COVID, I was working on the film The Photograph with Issa Rae, and I was her
Okay.
personal on that.
Nice.
And yeah, and it was funny because I would come to work and I would have like makeup on because I would do my makeup on like a live or like something, and then I would
Right.
record it, and then I would come to work and they'd be like, "Okay, green eyeshadow," and I'd be like, "Okay, y'all, like cut it out," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like I started to kind of like do it a little bit more, and I think that kind of shifted in my mind that both were possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and now primarily I create content. I work with clients occasionally, like people I really love and admire, and also just like enjoy their energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, primarily I am creating content. And for me, it's interesting. So like a lot of people create content and they're very like they have a lot of really big strategy involved. For me, I have a lot of like just talking
If I say it's
content. Like
really
I do a lot of
authentic, it's just very
yeah.
personable. Like,
I do a lot of live content. Like I do a lot of like I'm thinking about more and more about maybe joining like Twitch
mm-hmm.
or because I really like live streaming a lot. And I did a lot of that during the pandemic too. I did a lot of live streaming on Instagram. But Twitch is just easier to, you can get on and you can listen to you can see Twitch on your television, or you can watch like YouTube lives on your
Okay.
television, which I'm doing YouTube lives more now too, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
I want to get
my,
into that too. I haven't done one
yeah.
yet, a YouTube live.
Oh, they're so cool. They're so
Yeah.
cool. You would love it. Yeah, 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 for sure. It's a different kind of community. YouTube for me, if you are a creator and like you really identify with being an influencer, like you're not just like, oh, this is part-time. YouTube for me is home. Like that's where you
Mhm.
need to be. It's the place that I feel is the most supportive for creatives.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm running into this thing lately because I'm doing the podcast. I do still take clients, but every time somebody reaches out, the first question is, "Are you still doing makeup?
Yeah.
Are you
It
still
starts
taking
like that.
clients?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I just don't post them because they be in their bonnets and their robes, and I
Yeah.
don't want to post them on my page looking like that." And
Yeah. You're
then you
like,
know how they are. That I'm gonna send you a picture
yeah.
and it gets lost in the wires or something, never
Yep.
makes it to you. So people are always asking me, but my social media just reads pretty much like podcaster now. Like it's like all these podcast clips. It's me on there. It's not necessarily my work anymore. So it's kind of like this. I feel a pull like towards the media side. Like I'm still doing makeup, but I'm feeling this pull because I'm really enjoying this space a lot.
Yeah.
So people are like, you still
Absolutely.
doing makeup? I'm like, yeah, for now. We'll see.
Yeah, it starts like that. You're definitely going in that direction. I agree. When I look at your social media, it definitely reads like podcaster educator.
Yeah, so I'm always
Mm-hmm.
trying to find that balance. Also, because you're a makeup artist, but
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot of stuff on yourself now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a makeup artist, but I'm not a makeup girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how to describe it. So I had this coach before who was kind of telling me to use makeup to get in front of my audience, but I don't really necessarily feel like that's authentically me because I only put on makeup when I'm doing the podcast
Mm-hmm.
or if I'm hosting an event or going to an event. I don't wear makeup on a day-to-day basis. So I'm like, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a chore if I have to put on makeup to do the thing, like to be on social media and stuff. So I had to ask, I told my audience, I was like, I need your permission
Mm-hmm.
that I can go live with no makeup because I would never go live. Like if I have to put on makeup to go live, I would never go live because I don't be wearing makeup.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real thing. Like I had to really come to terms with the fact that I'm not like, okay, I'm gonna get my outfit done and I'm gonna like have my hair a certain way. And it's like, no, it's probably just like me coming on, doing my makeup, maybe my hair is in a head wrap. Like
Yeah.
it's just like you have to be the real you because that's what's gonna actually not feel like the heaviest lift. And that's the most important thing when it comes to social. Like whatever feels the most natural is actually going to resonate more with people. And
Yeah.
people also appreciate that too because they're at home watching you in their bonnet. They're
Yeah.
at
Like
home
we look
watching
the
you with no makeup
same.
on. Yeah. So I think that that's really, that's really important. And then you have the days where maybe you feel like doing your makeup and then you do that. But I think it's like I would get so many ideas and I'd have like no makeup on and like sweats. I'd be like, should I actually? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's
Mhm.
definitely okay. You got to be you.
Yeah, it gotta be. A lot of people struggle with social
Mhm.
media anyway and just showing up. And
Mhm.
I think they need that message too. Like you just gotta be you. Like whatever works for you. Cause I think we're looking around so much and seeing what's working for other people that we think that we have to replicate that sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you know what? That's like I think that's one of the biggest things that people get stuck in, and that's why they don't want to make any content. Because it's
Mm.
not necessarily sometimes that you don't even want to make the content. It's the fact that you don't want to pretend to be someone else like today, right? So
Right.
if you're just yourself, then it won't feel like it'll just feel like a FaceTime with your friend
Mm.
versus feeling like, okay, everybody, hi, welcome. Like, and it's like this whole
Hey.
other yeah, hello, hi, and you get like, and you become this whole other person and also have grace for yourself.
Mm.
Like you don't, you're new to something. Like what was the question that you asked me earlier? What was the first time? What was something new
Oh yeah,
that
was this the last time you did something for the first time? That one?
what was the last time you did something for the first? I love that question. So it's like that, right? It's like how would you be able to get better at something if you don't allow yourself to like just show up and just do it and not judge yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure.
Hmm.
What do you think the most difficult part of your journey has been so far
Mm,
in the industry?
um, believing
That like understanding abundance, like really understanding it. Because I think it's very normal for artists to speak in terms of lack. And what I've done is I've uh surrounded myself with people who don't. And I also personally don't speak from that place. There was something recent. I don't know if you ever heard Jackie Ina say this. Jackie Ina
Uh-huh.
said, she said, I don't speak negatively about myself.
Mm-mm.
She said that, and I thought to myself, wow, that's so interesting. It's like, well, what if you actually have like a thought and it's like it's a real thing, and then like
Yeah.
then are you being authentic if you don't? I started doing the
Yeah.
justification for it, right? And then I started to realize why this is important. A couple years later, I was talking to my mom and I was saying something and she was like, never say anything bad about yourself. And my mom has always said that, but it was something about that one time that she said it to me. You know what I mean? You know how
Yeah,
somebody can
it
tell
is
you the
stuck.
same thing and then all of a sudden it like resonates and I'm like, mm.
Yeah.
And because I was being really adamant, I can't exactly remember what I was saying. I wish I had the example, the exact example about what I was saying, but I was being really adamant about something and I kept saying it. And she was like, no, like I refuse to let you say something that's not true. And I'm like, well, what if it is true? And she's
Mm.
like, I don't want to hear you say it. And I was like, this is so interesting because, you know, when you start to condition your mind, because your voice, like right when you speak things, you also hear it, which is why it's the most powerful way to manifest your life. So if you're always talking about how you don't have, you won't have. But if you're always talking about how you have a lot, you will have a lot, right?
Yeah.
If you're always giving, your hands are always open and you can also receive, which
Right.
is why like tithing is a thing, which is why like giving to people, like which is why some of the richest people in the world have huge charities, because they understand this is not only the law of God, this is the law of the universe, this is how it
Right.
works. So
Right.
it's like you cannot hold on and expect to be abundant. So understanding abundance for me, I feel like has been one of the biggest lessons of life,
I'm
and
still
following
learning.
the joy, you know.
Yeah. I think I'm just now starting to really get it. I think I'm really starting to get it. And I told somebody else this recently too. My best friend, over the pandemic, her and another friend of mine told me, like, girl, you have to surrender. And I
Mm,
was like, what you talking about? Surrender? What you mean not have control? They were like, you have to let go. Like you have to, and it took me the longest time to really understand the concept of what they were even talking about, because I'm like, what do you mean surrender? Like just let it be. I was trying to drive things like really holding on to the steering wheel like this instead of, a little bit looser. And once I really grasped the concept, I really feel like things started to really fall into place for me, or happen for me and not to me, like just understanding that is amazing.
yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, letting
Oh,
go.
letting go of what you think you want it to be, so it can be what it's supposed to be.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Oh
I
my
love
God.
that.
Do you ever think about what you want your legacy to be with what you're
Mm.
doing? I didn't even talk about like your like even let's talk about your podcast first. Like
Yeah,
even with the
yeah.
podcast, like your legacy just in the industry, all the things that you're doing.
Yeah, that's such honestly, like I hope it's actually it is correlated. I'm glad you brought up the podcast. It does feel like that's part of my legacy for sure. I think there's something about being able to normalize like every part of a journey of an entrepreneur. I used to just
Yeah.
kind of like put it up on this like pedestal where it was like, okay, yeah, you're working for yourself. Wow, that's like the ultimate, you know. But I started to realize that like it's not just the work, it's every other part of your life. Like it's like, what are you listening to? Who are you
Yeah.
talking to? Like what does your spiritual life look like? Like there's so like, and the podcast is going to continue to expand into that part. Like it takes a village is really about like it does take a village to be a human being, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, not just an entrepreneur, because I temporarily changed it to raise an entrepreneur, and then I was
Yeah.
like, no, 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 I'm going to change it back. I'm going to change it back to just it
Yeah.
takes a village, because I feel like it's such a big it's such a big thing, and I think my legacy will hopefully be to help other people figure out their mission and what it is that they want to do
Yeah.
in life. Like what is it that they want to become, and how can I help them figure that out? Maybe that's just by listening to a conversation with somebody who they admire or who they
Yes.
enjoy, and hopefully help those people like figure something else out too. Like I don't know, I feel like I'm meant to be a connector. That's how I
Yeah.
feel.
You sound like my,
Yeah.
my best friend. That's her biggest thing. She's like, I'm a connector.
Yeah.
Connector. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Wait, what's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Okay. Oh my gosh, my sister's an Aquarius.
And my best friend's an Aquarius too. So
Yeah, y'all are the thinkers.
yeah, we think too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I only have one tattoo, and it's of an Aquarius right
Oh,
here.
really?
Aquarius sign, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And not a
My sister
Virgo
has
sign?
no, this is a here, let me show it to you closer. Do you see it?
Yes, the
It's
water.
You see the water? Yeah, it's Aquarius. My sister has mine, and it's Virgo, so she put Virgo in the same place.
That
Yeah.
is so cute. I need
Isn't
to
it?
go ahead and get my little Aquarius tattoo.
You gotta get your Aquarius tattoo. Yeah. I'm like so much more into signs now than I was even when I got this. Like at that time, I only knew about like the sun sign, and now like
I always
moon
forget
sign, and
I forget all of that. I
you
just know
forget all of them.
Aquarius. I know I got Capricorn in there somewhere and something else.
Yeah.
I don't
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
know.
Capricorns are great at delegating. You delegate a lot?
No, I need to.
Yeah, because they are excellent delegators. Like
I
there's a
will be when
lot
I
of
take my 1-2 month hiatus.
exactly. Yeah.
And you know what? One thing that I realized with doing the podcast, you've had yours since 2020 as well.
Yeah, I think I think we were recording in 2020 and maybe it came out in 2021. But I think we recorded and started recording in 2020. Tell me.
Yeah. But one thing I realized with doing the podcast, because I've talked to like how you talked to like so many amazing people. I talked to like the people that we just gag over, like Danessa, Sam, like all those
Yeah.
people. And what it has done for me personally is just made me realize that we're all the same. Like they
Isn't
go
it
through
cool?
their journey. They have this that kind of similar journeys as all of us, where they have imposter syndrome, where they have fear and they doubt themselves and like all of these things. So it really has put a lot of things in perspective for me, because of course we just see all the highlights on Instagram with everybody that we look at. We just see that things are so great, but when you really talk to them, you're like, they're not that much different from me. They just been doing this longer, or they just, it's levels. I always say it's levels to it. They just at a different part of the journey than I am, but we're all the same. So for me, I just don't put people on a pedestal anymore. Even though they're amazing people, I'm like, they're
Hmm.
human, just like, how I am. So that's why I love the podcast, to really get down, like how you said, to the nitty-gritty of who the person is. I'm trying to do a better job, like really getting to know who the person is behind the artistry, because I feel like once we know that, we can find ourselves in certain people and realize like, oh, like this is normal. Like, oh, I
Yep.
can see myself in this. Or just because I think we don't necessarily have a blueprint in the industry to be successful, I think it helps to hear other people's journeys as to like what they've done along the way to kind of plug and play for yourself. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's so great like to understand like the humanness behind the person. It's like the idea of like you said, you're like meeting people who you've read about or you've gotten their books or you studied with or and different people like that and you almost in your mind before you really meet them and understand them and talk to them. And something about that one-on-one and actually talking to them that
yeah,
changes everything. And I think it also helps you feel more powerful, right? Like it helps
yeah,
you make you feel like more deserving of your place and who you are and what you can give, you
yep,
know?
yep,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
yes. Do
Yeah.
you have anything that's coming up next that you could share? Like what's going on in LA?
What's going on in LA? So right now, okay, so because I moved to a new city, like right now what I'm doing is I'm meeting with different publicists. I am meeting with different, I think I'm probably gonna take some meetings with some agents. I'm looking to work with somebody who wants to be collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a very interesting position because like I do so many different types of things, right?
Yeah.
I do like hosting where I'm on camera, I can do events, I have the podcast and then it's like and then I can do makeup physically. I do makeup on myself. So there's
Right.
so many different things. So I
I feel the
almost I
same.
you know what I mean? It's like you're this multi hyphenate, you have all these different things going on. So you kind of need somebody who understands these different areas and has like this added level of interest and desire to explore and to research. Like I need a good researcher, but also a good salesperson as an
Yeah.
agent. I think that
Okay.
would be like perfect. And someone who's just hungry, probably somebody who's like, they don't have to necessarily be newer to the industry, but like I would say somebody who's like hungry and like has a desire to really work. So yeah, right now it's just all about new. That's new. We're actually like right now I'm recording with you in like my this is the first time that I have like a room in my in like my apartment that
Yeah.
actually is like dedicated to like creating, which
Nice.
is like such a blessing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing to be able to just do something where I'm like, this is the room where I get to create. So right now I'm really focused on making content and like figuring out what that really looks like because it's so fun to explore. I'm just really happy to
Mhm.
be back on the internet, to be honest with you. That's like so exciting. Yeah, it's like so exciting to me. I'm like, wow, I get to connect with like my friends and the people that I enjoy, and then we talk and we're like-minded and my community's special. Like people are
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah,
Like
they
they're really
are.
nice and they're uplifting and they're funny, like and they'll also tell me when they're like, "Hey, listen, you got a little typo over there." I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you." You know what I mean? So like it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, that's really what I'm doing. in addition to that, I'm working on, I mean, It Takes a Village podcast I've been working on for like a few years now, and we're gearing up for our third season. So I've been
Okay.
recording a lot of different episodes. I like to record in advance. So
Yeah.
I record them in advance, and then I kind of break them down and edit them. But I'm so excited
Do you
about this
edit them
season.
yourself?
No.
Oh, okay. About to say,
I
woo.
have an editor. Yeah, no, I have an editor, but I give editing notes. So I have to go
Gotcha.
through it, and like say, okay, I want you to cut this out. I want you to take this out. I want you to put this in the front. So I give notes, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily edit it myself,
Gotcha.
per se.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then, figuring out social clips too, because social clips are so important
They
for a
really are.
podcast. It's like they're almost more important than the episode in a weird way, which is
That's what I'm
wild.
learning. That's what I'm
Yeah.
learning too. Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you're not already subscribed to It Takes a Village podcast, it's It Takes a Village podcast with Delina Medhin. Takes a
Yes.
Village with Delina Medhin. So yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, so social's been difficult for you, or how has it been?
No,
Been
it's just,
okay?
just figuring out what works,
I know, right?
everything changed. And I just, because I'm a part of like this morning entrepreneurship call. And the guy, he's a podcast, is David. I don't know if you know David
Oh,
Shands,
okay.
Sleepers for
Okay.
Suckers. He has the Social Proof podcast. But he,
Yeah.
How is that? How is working with him?
oh, it's great. And I went to his
Yeah,
podcast summit last year. I'm going again next week. It's absolutely amazing. I learned so much because
nice.
I want to have like an agency, like a podcast agency and network. That's what I want.
That's amazing.
That's the goal. I
That's
want to like
huge.
once I have a network, I would love to like because people have been asking me, how do you start a podcast? I'm like, if I could teach people how to start a podcast, specifically beauty, because I feel like we need more of us,
Totally.
like just having different conversation, just have my own network with this different beauty type of podcast under it. Like, yes, that's
Yes.
it. But yeah, I asked him about something about the podcast because just growing it. I told him I've been consistent for 4 years, never missed an episode, but I don't feel like my numbers are really moving the way I want them to.
Hmm.
So he was like, okay, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that, but maybe it's the clips. Maybe you should look at how you're doing your clips and do this and do that. Make sure they grab them in the first 3 seconds. And like I'm just like, it's a lot.
Yeah. I'm excited for you though. That's so cool. You started working with him last year? This year?
Um, I went, yeah, probably last year. I'll say
Okay.
last year. I've just
Very
been a
cool.
part of his community and then gone to some of his trainings and things like that.
You have dropped an episode every Wednesday for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, don't even worry about it. Like things are gonna work out. Don't worry about it at all.
Like, yeah,
Yes, I'm
consistency
a
is
maniac.
amazing. Yeah, no, it's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm a
Wow.
maniac. Yes, girl. Well, this has been such a great conversation. I
Yeah.
always tell people I don't even want to let you go, but I know that we'll continue to talk some other time offline. But before
Yeah.
you go, I have to
Mhm.
ask you the Friends and Beauty rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So whatever comes to your mind first, you can spit it out, or if you need to elaborate, that's fine too.
Okay.
So the first one is, what are the top 3 keys to your success so far?
Mm. Top three keys to success so far are number one, being kind
Mm-hmm.
to everybody. Like, because I feel that is like that's huge.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like
Be a pushover, right? Like if somebody does something to you, you could still say something to them. Like it doesn't
Right.
mean like, but um being kind goes a really long way. Like to everybody. Like when you from the moment you walk on set to the person who like helps you with your bag or opens the door, or you know what I mean? Everyone is
Yeah.
so important. And it includes also having a consistent mood of how you feel, like how you actually feel. Like that's part of the like the we were talking about earlier, like that manifestation.
Yeah.
Oh, this is rapid fire. I'm supposed to do this fast.
Oh,
Sorry.
God, the
I
person to elaborate.
was like, wait, this is rapid fire. Okay, but yeah, like with like manifestation or like, and meditation and all those things, I feel like it's like that mindset is really important. That positive thinking is really important. So you set your mind that you're gonna have a good day, you'll have a good day. That's how
Mm-hmm.
it is. You know what I mean? It's how you react to what's happening to you. Number two, um, what will I say? I really check in with myself every day. Like I sit with myself. Like I do think meditation is like the key to life's happiness. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's so, so, so important. And I
Mm-hmm.
think like if I could encourage everyone in the world to meditate, like literally right now in this conversation, Just it would change
You
your life.
imagine the vibration of the world if
Yeah.
everyone was meditating?
It's amazing. Yeah, I completely, yeah, it would completely change the world because the world is energy, right? It's like we're
Hmm.
energy and just wow. Yeah. And number three, I'd say, um, being curious. Like I'm super curious. I'll give an example. I was on this like show that Amazon did a long time ago, and the randomly, it was like a QVC type show that Amazon had been doing.
Okay.
And they sent me like a message, and this is like I just had a YouTube at the time. Like I think I kind of had an Instagram, but they were like, "Hey, we saw you, and like we thought you might be a good fit." It was like at Amazon.com, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I'll go," and I go there, and I'm like testing with like Frankie J, like Ariana Grande's brother, like for the first like, and it's like the first time. Like I swear, I went to the bathroom like 3 times before I actually went in. Went in and actually did it. I was like, "Could you take the sound pack off?" And I remember finishing, and they were like, "This is your first time doing this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Wow, we could not tell." And I was
Right.
like,
I
"Wow."
love
So,
it.
but the thing is like the curious nature of a person who's like, "I'm just gonna look at this. It says at Amazon. Let me just go and
Mm,
see what it is." I feel like that changes your life. Like staying
yeah.
curious is like so important.
I love
Like,
it.
yeah, yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Okay. How do you measure your success?
Mm. How do I oh, happiness, joy, like how excited you said this earlier. You were like, "Oh my God, the only thing I want to do right now is I just want to work on my podcast." Is like that to me is like staying in the pocket. Like I
Yeah.
know I have other things to do associated with the podcast that might be difficult, right? But like I love doing the conversation. So that I need to make a priority and I have to do it. So to
Uh-huh.
me, like success is making sure that I'm like, okay, I feel joyful every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
love that. I
Yeah.
love it. What's the best advice you've ever received or a piece of advice that's just always stuck with you?
Uh, mm, I have to say the positive mindset thing, like the like literally not like avoiding saying anything negative to yourself. It's funny because she wasn't speaking to me when she said
Right.
it, but she was speaking to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she didn't know she was telling me, but I was like, when Jackie Ida was like, "Hey, like I never talk bad about myself," I was like, you know
And I'm
what?
sure that comes with practice too, you know?
Right. Like I never talk bad about myself. I actually am doing this really cool thing actually this year specifically called the Year of Gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
which is specific to like, okay, if every day you wake up and you're just grateful for everything,
Yeah.
like imagine what your life would be like, right? So it's like that's where I'm at. I'm like year of gratitude. I'm like every day I'm grateful for everything. Everything's a blessing. Everything's great. Everything's amazing. And like not just saying it like lip service, but really feeling it. And girl, like everything shifts. Even my timeline on social media, just the way I talk, my
Yeah.
timeline is different. Because you know
Yeah.
our phones listen. They
They
listen.
really they really do be
They
listening.
do. They do. So
Yeah, I was
yeah.
just telling I interviewed someone earlier, Desiree. I was telling her I have a gratitude alarm on my phone. So I got the
Oh,
idea. Her name is Donnie Wiggins. She's David Shan's co-host on the Social Proof podcast. But
okay.
she has an 8:30 and I have an 8:30. I said we're raising the vibration at the same time, but it's an 8:30
I love it.
p.m. gratitude alarm that goes off every single day just to remind me to be mindful of expressing gratitude for something that happened that day. So not that waking up isn't something to be grateful for, but like something specific that happened like that day. So I told Desiree earlier, and I'll tell you mine today. I'm grateful I talked to Desiree. I talked to Delina today. Like,
Amazing.
things like that. So I have an
I love
8:30
that.
p.m. It goes off every single day.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna do that. I like that.
Yeah.
Gratitude alarm. That's
Right.
beautiful.
So
Thank
you
you.
can stay in the spirit of expressing gratitude because it really does help other things to come to you.
Yeah, I'll put mine at 5:30, so we're raising the vibration at the same
Yes,
time.
I love it.
I
I love it. What
love it
advice
too.
would you give to another makeup artist right now who maybe just moved to a new city and they're just like,
Mm.
I do not know, even know where to start, honey.
Yeah. Definitely.
I would say connect with other artists that are there. That's super important. There's so much power in numbers. And I wouldn't just connect with any makeup artist. I would connect with who you think is like the person who's really doing it in that city. And the
Yeah.
reason why I say that is because they can teach you so much about contracts, about negotiations, about how much to charge, like these types of things. Because when you come to a city, you want to make sure that you're adding to that city. Like you
Mhm.
don't want to come there and let's say the standard is like, $450 or $500 to do a face or something like that.
Right.
And you come in and you start charging $100 because you're like, that's what I feel my worth is. But let's
Right.
say your work is actually where that other person's work is, like you can deliver that same look. It's like
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how you can add to the to that world, to that person,
Yeah.
to that community
Mm-hmm.
and figure out a way that you can give back to it. Like to me, that's super, super important.
Okay.
And a lot of cities now have like community meetups and things like that too.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, if you're in New York or LA, absolutely like makeup show,
Yeah.
amazing. Like that's where to start. I mean, I say fly to the makeup show no matter what, because
Yeah.
I remember here I just heard your episode with Crystal and you said that you flew to the makeup show in
Mhm.
um in New
Oh yeah, I
York.
do
And
a
I
bus trip.
you said you did a
Yeah.
bus trip?
Yeah, I do this year was my third year. I do a bus trip from DC to New York to the makeup show.
Okay, y'all need to get on the bus trip if you live in
Yeah.
DC, right? No, because that's incredible. That's amazing. It
It's
is one
always
of
fun.
my absolute favorite shows. The best education, free education. You go and you learn so much, but then you can buy a bunch of products, but then you meet people who are just
It's
as
like a
excited
family
about makeup.
reunion. If you've been in the industry for a while, it's a family reunion for real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's fantastic. So,
Yeah.
yes, that for sure. No matter where in the country, if you can fly to New York for the makeup show, do it. But if you can't, I know they do it in a couple other cities.
Yeah,
LA, I believe, is
Chicago.
one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's a
Yeah.
resource that helps you in your business that you could share with the friends and beauty community?
Okay. Let me think. A resource that helps me in my
It could be like
business.
a tool or a book or I don't know,
Ah,
whatever.
great question. Okay, I use Asana. It's like
Okay.
an organizational tool.
Like project
Like
management.
it's a project management tool. I
Uh,
believe every single person, if you have a business, you work for yourself, you have to have a project management tool, like
yeah.
hands down. So I assign like tasks to myself, to my assistant. Like we kind of go back and forth. And then every week we go through it. And this is incredibly important, especially if you're trying to grow your business. Like
Yeah.
you have to have it. So I love Asana. I know a lot of people use different tools
Yeah. I
that
had
they like,
Trello.
but you use Trello?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's project management tools are so essential.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a virtual assistant or like how does that work?
Yeah, yeah, she doesn't live in the same city as me. So yeah, essentially
Okay.
she's virtual. Yeah.
Cool beans. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get me one soon. I have people
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
help me, but I guess they're virtual too. But I want like a dedicated for
Full time.
yeah, full time certain tasks. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
absolutely.
last one is a statement. I just want you to say the statement, fill in the blank, and
Yeah.
say, my name is blank,
Uh-huh.
Delina, and the key to longevity and success is blank, whatever you think it is.
Mm,
So you can repeat that statement.
okay. My name is Delina, and the key to success is kindness.
'Cause you really will run into the same people over and over, or you will meet somebody that knows that person and you want that reputation to precede you and like follow. Be kind to everyone, like she said earlier, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes,
The
yes,
PA will become the director, guaranteed. The
exactly.
PA actually might be the director tomorrow because they're just friends with the director and being a PA today because they asked them to. So you don't know.
You don't
But
know.
yeah, you don't know. But just in general, from an energetic perspective too, just even if that person is a PA for the rest of their career,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just treat people nice.
So true. So true. Well, before you go, please share your social media since you're back, your podcast again, like wherever you want people to go to connect with you further and follow the journey, your new journey, your new chapter.
My new chapter. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Okay. So you can follow me at Delina Medhin. That's Delina Medhin, Medhin. And you can follow me on Instagram, Threads, Twitter. I said Threads. I don't know why I'm laughing because I feel like it's like the newest one. But yeah, I'm talking over there.
Okay.
Yeah, YouTube, all the things. And then of course follow my podcast. It Takes a Village with Delina Medhin. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, and all the places where you can listen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Delina.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so great. It's so beautiful. I'm so happy for you and your podcast. This is really cool.
Thank you. Cool. I'm so glad I finally met you.
Same.
Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with another friend in beauty. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review so that other friends in beauty can find the show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty, hashtag Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.